Let's transform this bright daylit scene into this nighttime moonlit scene. Let's go through step by step how I set up this scene and what each of these lights are actually doing to create this moonlit, kind of moody, cozy home scene. Step 1 is going to be to turn off these overhead lights. Now that we've turned off the overhead lights in the room, you can see that the only light we have coming in is from these 2 windows that we're going to need to black out so that we can create a nighttime looking scene. So let's black out the windows, bring in all of our lighting equipment, and start getting this scene set up. Okay, switch to my iPhone because I'm using both of my main cameras because this is a 2-camera setup. This is for an interview that I'm doing. It's actually for a life group lesson at my church. So he'll be talking directly to camera, and then I have a camera off to the side to get a second angle. So my first thought for this room is I wanted to try something completely different and do more of a warm key light with cool hair light and kind of do a moonlit type environment because that's something that I haven't tried before. So here was my initial thought process. These lamps right here are a really warm, probably like a 2500 Kelvin color temperature. And I wanted to motivate that because you would see that in the background of the video. So I motivated the key light off of those lamps and made my key light actually be 3500 Kelvin, and it's actually at 30% intensity. So this is the Amaran F22X with the lantern attachment. So I made that a little bit warmer than I normally would because I'm motivating it off of the lamps in the background. Visuals, when they're in frame like that, practicals, your brain kind of thinks, oh, he's being lit by those lamps in the background because those are the lights that I see in the room. It's just something that your brain kind of does when you see a scene. Then from there, I had to black out the windows. I got a taller person than me to do that. And my next light that was going to be important was I brought in my backlight, but I kind of changed some stuff. So in hindsight, I would have done it in a different order. Here's the next important light. This Amaran T4C tube, right over here in the corner, I have a grid on it, as you can see, just so I can direct the light to point a slash of light kind of over the arm of this chair in this direction in the room. I did that because I wanted that to act as moonlight coming in from this window. So I kind of placed it up high, acting like a shaft of moonlight, and moonlight is kind of that blue color. Then that actually changed what I was going to do with this backlight, which is this is the Amaran T2C. So now that we have moonlight coming in through a window, I'm going to motivate the backlight off of that blue light that they're seeing in the frame. So that's why I made this a more blue color temperature so that it would shine on him as a backlight and hair light motivated off of the moonlight. Then just to add a little bit more to the scene, I actually put a Aperture T4C behind the couch just to give a little glow on the wall, kind of up, just adds ever so slightly. It really adds little lights like this when you get into accenting and you're just starting to kind of build out. You've got your main lights. You know, we could have just had this setup be a key light and a backlight and thrown some moonlight. But when you start really adding in practicals that they can see, a little glow behind the couch, it really starts to kind of level up the production value. So from there, we have 2 more little lights right over here to the side. We've got this light right here, which is a little Aperture MT Pro. And I have that kind of set to like that blue color just to shine in this corner and kind of on this tree, because we have the second angle that points right at this wall. So we needed to kind of fill in some more blue so that it looks like this blue is shining all the way across the room. And then for our last light, this is the small rig flashlight, and I have it set to blue with just one of these little designs in. And my reason for that is it just kind of throws a little bit more blue on this wall, gives the appearance that there could be a window over here, just like the window over there, that could also be casting light through a tree, kind of creating some dapples of blue across the space. So that was my thought process in placing each one of these lights. You could easily just come in here and set up a key light and a backlight and turn nothing else on, and it still looked nice, but I wanted to create a scene that looked purposeful and kind of didn't look like it was being lit by lights. I wanted it to feel natural, like the lamp was just lighting him up, there's moonlight in the room, and there's not any, quote, video lights going on. So to make a scene feel more natural, you need to have some lights in shot, be able to motivate your key light or your backlight off of those lights so that it actually feels like it occurred naturally. So you would do the same thing if you were doing a daylight setup and there was sun coming through a window. You could put your key light on that side of the frame where that sun is coming from and kind of match the color and everything so that it would feel like the sun is what's lighting you. It makes it feel natural when you motivate your placed lights off of naturally occurring lights. And in this case, all I had to work with were the lamps in this room. But I motivated the key light off of that, and then I faked the window. There is a window right there, but since we're filming during the day, I had to fake it being nighttime by blacking them out and then putting a light there to look like moonlight. Then, as far as cameras go, I'm using a 2-camera setup. This is our main angle. This is the Sony a7C II with the Blazer Mantis 35mm T2.0. We've got our angle right here, you can see. And then for our second angle, we've got my Sony FX3 with the Blazer Apex 50mm. So I went anamorphic for both of these cameras because I wanted this to really feel like a movie set almost. I wanted it to feel really well lit, and I also wanted it to look really cinematic, which anamorphic definitely accomplishes that. So this is just to give you an example of kind of what this frame is looking like. So now let's break down each light one at a time. This is with just the key light. This is with the key light and those 2 lamps in the background. Now we add in our Amaran T4C as our shaft of moonlight. Then we can motivate our backlight, which is the Amaran T2C, off of the moonlight. We'll add the subtle glow behind the couch, which is another Amaran T4C. We'll add the Aperture MT Pro over in the corner to light up and give a little bit more blue to that second angle, where you can see it may not make a huge difference on the main angle, but for the second angle, it definitely makes a difference. And then our last light is the little moonlight dapple effect from the small rig flashlight. And this is our final setup. So that was just a quick walkthrough of how I achieved this really cool moonlit setup. I had tons of fun doing this and really crafting a scene and putting the lighting to where it really creates a feeling in the video is so much fun to do, and it levels up the quality of your video tremendously. If you found some value in this video, then you might want to check out this video right over here where I talk about key light placement and how it can dramatically affect the cinematic quality of your video.